Understanding why anger really happens. Most people believe anger is something that happens to them, as if it is forced upon them by other people's words or actions. Someone insults you, ignores you, or behaves unfairly, and anger seems to appear instantly. But if we look closely, anger is not caused by the situation itself. It is created by the interpretation your mind gives to that situation. This distinction is crucial. Events happen outside of you, but anger is formed inside you. Think about it carefully. The same behavior that angers you might not bother someone else at all. One person gets furious over criticism, while another listens calmly and moves on. This proves that anger is not automatic. It depends on beliefs, expectations, and internal narratives. When the mind labels something as disrespectful, threatening, or unacceptable, anger arises. Without that label, the emotion loses its fuel. At the core of anger lies expectation. You expect people to behave politely, fairly, or logically. You expect them to understand your intentions and respect your boundaries. When these expectations are not met, the mind reacts with resistance. It says, "This should not be happening." That resistance is the birthplace of anger. The stronger the expectation, the stronger the emotional reaction when reality does not match it. Another deep source of anger is the need for control. Anger often emerges when you feel powerless or when things do not go your way. The mind wants to control outcomes, people, and situations. When control is lost, frustration builds. Anger then becomes an attempt to regain power, either by arguing, blaming, or emotionally reacting. Understanding this helps you see that anger is often a signal of inner insecurity rather than outer danger. The ego also plays a central role. The ego is the part of the mind that identifies with opinion, status, and self-image. When someone challenges your beliefs, ignores your contribution, or questions your worth, the ego feels attacked. Anger rises as a defense. It tries to protect identity rather than truth. Once you see this mechanism clearly, you begin to separate who you are from what happens around you. There is also a hidden emotional history behind anger. Many reactions are not about the present moment at all. They are echoes of past experiences, unresolved wounds, and learned patterns. A small trigger today can activate a much older feeling of rejection, disrespect, or helplessness. Anger becomes a habit formed over years, not a response to a single event. Understanding why anger really happens is the first step toward freedom from it. When you realize that anger is constructed internally, you stop blaming the outside world for your emotional state. This awareness does not mean you tolerate mistreatment. It means you take responsibility for how you respond. And the moment responsibility returns to you, control returns as well. This is where calm begins, changing how you see people. If you want to stop getting angry or bothered by others, the most powerful shift you can make is changing how you perceive people. Anger often comes from the assumption that others should behave in a certain way toward you. When they do not meet this expectation, the mind reacts with irritation or outrage. But this assumption itself is unrealistic. People act from their own inner world, not from your standards, needs, or emotional rules. Every person you encounter is carrying a lifetime of experiences, conditioning, fears, and emotional wounds. Their behavior is shaped by how they were raised, what they have suffered, what they believe about themselves, and how aware they are of their own emotions. When someone behaves rudely, impatiently, or unfairly, it is rarely a calculated attack on you. More often, it is an unconscious expression of their inner state. Seeing this clearly changes everything. When you interpret people's behavior as a reflection of their internal struggles, rather than a personal offense, anger naturally dissolves. Instead of thinking they disrespected me, you begin to understand they are reacting from stress, insecurity, or ignorance. This does not mean you approve of harmful behavior. It means you stop taking responsibility for emotions that do not belong to you. Emotional detachment in this sense is not coldness. it is clarity. Another important shift is recognizing that most people are not self-aware. They react automatically, driven by habits and emotions they have never examined. Expecting emotional intelligence from everyone sets you up for constant frustration. When you accept that awareness levels differ, you stop being shocked by immaturity. You stop demanding wisdom from those who have not developed it yet. Acceptance reduces resistance, and resistance is what fuels anger. It also helps to see people as temporary characters in your life, not permanent authorities over your emotional state. A stranger's words, a co-worker's mood, or a family member's opinion only has power if you give it power. When you remember that everyone is passing through your experience briefly, their ability to disturb you weakens. You stop over-investing emotionally in small interactions. Changing how you see people also involves releasing the need to correct them. Many arguments arise from the urge to prove a point or make someone understand you. But understanding cannot be forced. When you let go of the need to change others, you free yourself from constant tension. Peace grows when you allow people to be wrong, different, or unaware, without making it your burden. Finally, compassion becomes a shield. When you respond to others with understanding instead of judgment, you protect your inner peace. Compassion does not make you weak. It makes you unbotherable. The moment you stop seeing people as enemies and start seeing them as human beings acting from their limitations, anger loses its grip. What remains is calm distance and emotional balance, mastering your inner response. Even after understanding why anger arises and changing how you see people, the real transformation happens when you learn to master your inner response. Life will always present situations that test your patience. People will still behave unpredictably, speak carelessly, or act unfairly. The difference is no longer in what happens, but in how you respond internally. This is where emotional freedom is built. Between every external event and your reaction, there is a small but powerful space. In that space, you have a choice. Most people never notice it. They react instantly, driven by habit, emotion, and ego. Anger feels automatic because the mind has practiced it for years. But habits can be interrupted. Awareness is the key that opens that space and gives you control. The first step in mastering your response is learning to pause. When something triggers you, resist the urge to respond immediately. Silence, even for a few seconds, creates distance between the trigger and your reaction. This pause breaks the emotional momentum that anger relies on. Without momentum, anger begins to weaken. Next comes observation. Instead of fighting the emotion or expressing it outwardly, turn your attention inward. Notice what is happening in your body. Feel the tightness in your chest, the heat in your face, the rush of thoughts demanding reaction. By observing these sensations without judgment, you stop identifying with them. You realize that anger is something you experience, not something you are. Breathing plays a crucial role here. Slow, deep breathing sends a signal to the nervous system that there is no immediate threat. The body begins to calm down and the mind follows. A regulated body creates a regulated response. Over time, this practice rewires your stress response, making calmness your default state instead of reactivity. Another important aspect of mastering your response is questioning your thoughts. Anger is fueled by stories the mind tells. Thoughts like "this is unacceptable, they are disrespecting me," or "I must respond," intensify the emotion. When you challenge these thoughts, their power fades. Ask yourself whether reacting will actually improve the situation or only drain your energy. Most of the time, the answer is clear. Self-mastery also involves choosing your response intentionally. Calm does not mean passive. You can still speak, set boundaries, or walk away. The difference is that your actions come from clarity rather than emotion. When you respond calmly, your words carry more weight. You are no longer trying to release anger. You are communicating with purpose. With consistent practice, this way of responding becomes natural. You stop being pulled into emotional storms created by others. People may still try to provoke you, but they find no reaction to feed on. This is true power. When you master your inner response, you reclaim control over your emotional life, and anger loses its ability to dominate. 8. Living unbothered and at peace. Living unbothered is not about isolating yourself from the world or pretending that nothing affects you. It is about choosing inner peace over unnecessary emotional conflict. Most people spend their lives reacting, defending, and proving themselves. This constant engagement drains energy and keeps the mind restless. A peaceful life begins when you decide that your emotional well-being matters more than being right, winning arguments, or controlling how others see you. One of the biggest sources of anger is the need to be understood. People often get upset not because of what was said, but because they feel misinterpreted or unheard. When you release the need for everyone to understand you, a heavy emotional burden lifts. Understanding cannot be forced, and clarity does not always come from explanation. Sometimes silence and acceptance bring more peace than endless justification. Living unbothered also requires discernment. Not every comment deserves a response. Not every opinion requires defense. Many people speak from emotion, not intention. Engaging with every provocation keeps you trapped in reaction mode. When you learn to choose when to respond and when to disengage, you conserve emotional energy. This selectivity is not avoidance, it is wisdom. Another important element of peace is letting go of comparison. Anger often hides behind jealousy, resentment, or wounded pride. When you compare your life, progress, or worth to others, dissatisfaction grows. Accepting your own pace and path reduces internal pressure. When there is no internal competition, external triggers lose their intensity. Setting clear boundaries is also essential for an unbothered life. Peace does not come from tolerating everything, it comes from knowing your limits and honoring them. You can say no without guilt, you can distance yourself without hostility. Boundaries protect your energy and prevent resentment from building. When boundaries are clear, anger has less opportunity to arise. Forgiveness plays a quiet but powerful role in inner peace. Holding on to past anger keeps the nervous system in a state of tension. Forgiveness does not mean forgetting or excusing harm. It means releasing the emotional grip the past has on you. When you let go, you free yourself, not the other person. Finally, living unbothered means returning to the present moment. Anger thrives in replayed memories and imagined conflicts. The present moment is usually calm. When you anchor your attention in what is happening now, rather than what should have happened or might happen, peace becomes accessible. An unbothered life is not free of challenges. It is free of unnecessary emotional suffering. When you stop giving your peace away to external circumstances, you become calm, grounded, and resilient. This is not emotional numbness. It is emotional mastery.